Hello everyone, welcome back to a new replay cast. Today we're gonna be looking at a series played at the latest Stay-at-Home Story Cup. In the top left spawning as the blue Protoss player, we're gonna be playing for Team Ting, Mr. Neeb. And in the bottom right spawning as the red Zerg, it's going to be Serral. Just opening up with a standard 16 hatch this game. Now these games were played yesterday in the Stay-at-Home Story Cup, and the replays were released today, so I figured I'd have a look at them and just cast them for you guys. The first map is going to be Simulacrum. This was played in the second group stage, where there was a group with Neeb, Serral, Hero Marine, and E-Laser, I believe. And I don't want to spoil too much, but this was a very important match for both Neeb and Serral. So here we have Neeb starting a little bit of harass on the minerals of Serral. Look at them. Absolutely tryharding here. Does manage to grab the minerals. That's of course a mistake. Ideally you never take the minerals and you just keep right clicking those mineral patches, trying to deny the drones from mining there, because two workers can't mine at the same time. So that's a way to deny your opponent some minerals. On the other hand, we have Serral sending his overlords across the map. First overlord is about to arrive and see that everything indeed is looking standard on the side of Neeb. Now, what can Neeb do here? He's taking a second gas. He can go into a Stargate, into a Twilight opener. He has a lot of options for himself. As we see Serral opening with a double queen opener, obviously most likely into speed. Keeps two drones into gas, which is a little bit different from what we usually see, as most of the time you only see a single drone in gas. So there's a slight difference already there. This probe is being chased away by this initial Zergling, and the other Zergling will make its way across the map to scout to see if anything big is happening in Neeb's base. Now, what does this do? This forces the first adept to stay at home, because if you chrono boost your first two units, your second unit will finish at about 253 or 254. So you basically need to stay here for quite some time with the adept. And if you don't chrono boost your second unit, then, well, like you can see, it's gonna take about 10 seconds longer. He also forgot to start his adept for a while, so he's just making sure that nothing can get into this base, nothing can scout. And right now, Serral has no real information of what is happening here. He doesn't even know where the second pylon is. There's another overlord coming in, but that's not going to be good enough. Neeb is going to be starting with a Phoenix and will end up scouting that there is no third base here for Serral. So this is a very different build from anything we usually see from Zerg players, where they always try to get that third base very quickly. Right now Serral opting to go for a 4-queen opener and then a delayed third base with a fast layer as well. So that's probably where that early gas went, and Neeb should be a little bit confused by that. He isn't quite aware yet that there indeed is a third base at this point, but if he would see that, that probably would give him some rest. Like it would help him relax in this game, basically. He does shade into the natural mineral line and sees, there's a lot of drones. This isn't going to be a roach attack. This isn't going to be any kind of a link flood, because there's just too many drones. He saw another gas being taken. So right now, Neeb probably is thinking, alright, this could be a couple of things. This could be 2-base Spire, or well, 2.5-base Spire with a very fast layer. Could be 2.5-base Roach. And then maybe some weird Roach pressure. Or it could also be a Hydra, or Nidus Swarm, of course. So Neeb is just looking for information at this point. Meanwhile, he's getting his extra gases, following up with the robotics facility. He already is up to 3 gates, and it seems like, oh, I don't think Neeb will be able to scout what's happening here right now. Hydra then being hidden in the natural base. So it's only 43 workers so far, so not a lot of eco here for Serral, who is also producing a bunch of links right now. 10 links out already, 10 more links on the way. As these adepts are trying to make a play, we'll fly to the other side of the map, or shade to the other side of the map. They can fly, of course. If only. That would be one hell of a unit. As we have 3 adepts going into the third base. They should not finish, yeah. Don't finish their shade. Should be a little bit careful even, as the oracles and the phoenix are not really here to defend the adepts right now. Serral realizes that, is trying to catch some damage, or trying to catch these adepts to do some damage on them. Didn't quite work. There's a couple of sentries here, there's a couple of adepts. These are 20 links though, 18 links. might be able to fight this, but with good force fields, I think Neeb would be able to win that. And of course, you don't quite know where the oracles are. If you try to engage into this and then don't get anything because the oracles show up, you might lose a couple of units for no real reason. Neeb still isn't aware that there's a Hydra, then he isn't aware there's Hydras on the map either. There's a very odd push out here by Serral, who is trying to move up a ramp with 6 Hydras, muscular augments, and about 12 links that are still remaining. Neeb does get a force field down, but it's a little bit too late. Guardian Shield should be used. No, instead uses 2 force fields to catch these 3 Hydras. Oracles on the other side of the map. One Oracle seems to have gone down. 2 Immortals have popped, and I think both of these Hydras should die. Yeah, that's a good shade here by Neeb. We'll be able to pick off that Hydra as well. And very odd move out here by Serral, honestly, who is going to lose this Hydra as well. So Oracle doing the cleanup duty. 67 workers right now for Serral against the 58 of Neeb, but Neeb's position is kind of okay this game, honestly. He's even in work, or in upgrades, he is close to the worker count of Serral, who had this weird 4-queen opener. Fort bait is very, very delayed. Creep spread, honestly, for having that many queens this early, isn't looking too hot. And we still have an Oracle, we have a Phoenix alive, so maybe there will be some more damage. Now, Neeb probably still very confused as to what exactly happened in this opening. Keeps revelating buildings and units, just being like, what actually is going on here? Like, this is not the Serral that I know. The Serral I know always takes a 3rd base very fast. It doesn't rush the layer to get Hydra out. But he did this game. Bailing speed is on the way for Serral, and we see Neeb adding a couple of extra gateways. Already on 6 gateways, 4 more on the way will put him up to 10. Let's finish my elementary school. And we have a first prism on the way, 3 Immortals, which is a pretty high Immortal count against a Bane Hydra player. The problem with Immortals is that they delay your infrastructure a lot. An Immortal is 275 minerals and a gateway 150. So every Immortal you build basically means you can't build 2 extra gateways. So a lot of the time when you see this kind of play out of a Protoss player with a charge lot Archon push with +1 and charge, you will see maybe 1 Immortal, or a lot of the time even no Immortals, and 2 Prisms instead, so you can hit in 2 locations at the same time. This army looks really weak. There's a lot of money in the bank, and I don't think he'll be able to spend it all because he doesn't have enough gateways. So that's really a product of these early Immortals. Whoa, this charge in is very clumsy by Neeb, who loses a lot of Zealots. Ends up losing his first Immortal as well, and he loses an Archon, so let's pull up the unit loss tab. Serral's still behind, but that was not a good trade there for Neeb, who is getting absolutely slaughtered here. Honestly, loses his second Archon. None of his Zealots really remain alive. Can he push into this? There's no Banelings right now. There's 19 Hydras. I think this would be the only time he can actually fight, but of course he isn't aware that there is no Baneling, so he goes back. But that was some awful trades. Neeb, from being basically even in supply right now, is down 20 all of a sudden. Serral probably will feel confident enough to actually get a couple of extra drones, maybe even take this 7th gas. And then a 4th base is on the way for Neeblet as well, which is relatively late. Storm +2 attack, but this is a lot of army here for Serral, who, yep, he's just in a good spot right now. Neeb cancelling this 4th base after, I think, spotting this army. He's like, I don't think I can hold that. Serral's like, well, that's fun and all, but I'm still gonna run up your ramp. There's no Storm yet. Storm is halfway done, and GG gets called. Serral wins game number 1 against Neeb. We will be heading into game number 2. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to game number 2 between Serral and Neeb in the bottom left spawning as the red Zerg player. We're going to be having Mr. Serral playing for ENS Esports. In the top right is going to be Neeb playing for Team Ting, or just Ting. Phone company. Oh, Serral, what are we doing here? A 14 hatch opener, so this is a hatchery before Overlord. The reason why you see this is because you... it's very common right now for Protoss players to do a 13 pylon. So they build the pylon 1 supply earlier, you cut 1 worker, then you chrono boost afterwards. You do this to block the natural base of the Zerg player, so they're forced to take their 3rd with a hatchery first. If Zerg plays hatchery, 14 hatchery, so hatchery before Overlord, you always get your hatchery down, no matter how early the probe is. Unless maybe you send the absolute first probe straight to the other side of the map. But I'm not sure about that. The problem with the build that Serral is doing here, the 14 hatchery, is that it's very weak economically if the Protoss player isn't doing a 13 pylon. And we see Neeb, he isn't scouting at all, so that's gonna save him a lot of money, while Serral is investing a lot of money in stopping an early scout, which also costs the Protoss usually. If you still follow that, you're an absolute legend. So basically what this means is that Neeb is in a very good position right now. He is going to be ahead economically. He scouts for proxy hatches real fast, make sure there's nothing here. Of course, this is a common location for proxy hatch because of the rich Vespine geyser. Scouts this area and it's like, alright, I think I know enough. I'm going back home. He's keeping this worker here in case he wants the full wall for a 12 pool. You probably still lose the game, but I mean, it's better to try something than nothing, right? So he plays it extremely safe. Second pylon is going down right now in the main base. And we see Serral heading into just a double queen opener from that 14 hatch opener. But once again, he is in a worse economical position right now. Even though nothing has happened, seemingly, there is some differences in the early game from your usual game. So once again, Serral switching it up slightly. As the two standard links are coming out, of course. So this is something you see almost every single game from the top players. The E-lasers, the Lambos, the Sus, the Darks, the Rogues, Serral, Raynor. All these boys, they'll always have their links split up, trying to come into your base the moment they can, basically. The moment you move out with your first adept. Right now Serral is going to be a little bit too late. You see, this is the timing that I was talking about. About 253, usually that second gateway unit does end up popping if you double chrono boost. So Neeb does end up finishing it, and Serral's like, oh, I saw that with an overlord. I'm just gonna walk in here and have a look what you're doing over here exactly. Does get surrounded by 4 probes. It's nice little probes around there by Neeb. And ends up killing that Zergling, who doesn't end up getting the information he wants. Serral's like, alright, I'll send in my overlord if I have to. We'll obviously be able to figure out that there's an oracle on the way. Double adept might be able to do some damage. Finish the shade into the main base, get 2 drones down already. Might be able to get a third. No, not third. And 1 adept will end up falling. I don't like that last shot very much. Does cost him an adept there. Probably would have survived otherwise. Speed is about to finish. Neeb should be very careful here with this adept. Decides to shade in rather than shading out. Oh, Serral not microing his links though. So this is a little bit of a sloppy game so far. And once again, Serral heading into that weird 2-base layer. Third base is on the way right now with the drone heading towards that hatchery. Adept does end up falling to these 3 links. So a little bit sloppy there by Neeb, who loses an adept but gets 2 drones in return. Oh. Adept barely managed to stay alive next to Mount Everest over here. This of course is Kilimanjaro. So this is the only map that is actually on planet Earth. These 2 beautiful mountains and these weird ridges in between. Now we have an oracle into a phoenix into an oracle. So a very similar opening from Neeb to last game. Actually goes into a second Stargate here, which means he will be messing out those phoenixes. But it's very uncommon for Protosses to actually go into double Stargate Phoenix from a double oracle opener. A lot of the time you'll see it from single oracle, single phoenix, or just single oracle into double Stargate Phoenix, but double oracle really delays that second Stargate. So just trying to trick Serral here. Gets a couple more kills on this oracle and also manages to scout exactly what's going on. Scouts the roach warren, scouts the infestation pit. So Serral is planning on doing, well, some kind of 2.5 base Swarmhost Nidus with a, I guess this is a fake 3rd base in that case. We have a Stasis Ward coming down into the natural. Now, the problem here for Serral is that not only was his early game really bad, also the build orders just line up kind of poor for him right now, as we have double Stargate against Swarmhost Nidus. And double Stargate, I don't want to say it's a hard counter, but it is a pretty decent counter, especially if the Zerg isn't aware of that, because it just means they don't have enough queens to deal with the phoenixes. So every time you pop out an Nidus and phoenixes are there, they will be able to pick up your units. Especially if they have +1 air attack, it would be extremely useful here for Neeb, who is not researching that yet, of course, doesn't have it yet either. He's getting a couple of he's getting an extra robo, a couple of stalkers out. And here's the first overlord, which most likely will be planting the Nidus here. There's a Ling that is looking to find locations to plant Nidus. So, first Nidus will be spotted immediately by Neeb. I like that he attacks it. His Phoenix count isn't big enough to be sure that he can kill any amount of queens, right? If there's 5 queens right now, it might be a little bit tricky. So I like that Neeb is, yeah, you know what, I'll just kill it. I don't want to see what pops out of there. Also, of course, to keep track exactly of where Serral can be popping out. If you kill Nidus on the top side of the map, most likely. Next Nidus, exactly. It's going to be on the bottom side. Neeb figures it out. Sees the Nidus and networks. Like, oh, that's cool and all, but I have a couple of units here. You sure you want to be doing that, buddy? Cool semi-surround by Serral, but honestly, roaches don't shoot up, so we'll get picked up. A couple of locusts already hit the floor. They hit the floor. As we have these phoenixes killing these queens, oracles targeting down, well, queens as well, I guess. And there's still a couple of locusts going down, but this army is big enough to deal with that. Well, Serral's just losing queen after queen right now. There's 2 queens remaining, and both of those are going to die as well. I think Neeb is just going to continue building phoenix after phoenix after phoenix. Just gonna mass phoenix against this, and he's also up about 10-12 workers at this point. A little bit of a ling run by Dust. End up going into the main base, but Zealots will be able to deal with that. Not really being controlled by Serral here, and another Nidus does get sniped. And you might think, well, you know, Nidus are not that expensive, but if you're on a 2-base economy and you're not really doing damage with your Locust, yeah, they actually do become pretty expensive pretty quickly. We have another Nidus in the middle. You see the supply for Serral is so low, only 44 workers. How many Swarmos does he even have? He has 12 Swarmos right now. He pops them out, but he needs to go back in because this is not the place to fight for him right now. And there's really nothing he can do to deal with those phoenixes. He pops out a couple of queens, but he only has 3 queens. There's 10 phoenixes. There's 2 more on the way. He does manage to fire off a locust wave, but phoenixes, once again, also attack locusts. And here, Neeb wins game number 2 on Everdream. Serral GG's out, and we'll be going into the rubber match. Alright, in the bottom left side spawning as the blue Zerg player for Team Ants, it's going to be Serral. Just tried a little bit of a tricky strategy with that double Swarmos Knights, but didn't quite manage to pull it off against the double Stargate Phoenix of the man in the top right. Who is red? He's American. He plays for Team Ting. He's called Neeblet, apparently. Always switching a bit between those 2 names, Neeblet, Neeb. I think at the first BlizzCon where he was gonna make it big, I think he requested to be called Neeblet, so I think he changed it because he always played under the nickname Neeb, but sometimes Neeblet, and then on BlizzCon he requested it to Neeblet, if I recall correctly. That was the story. I don't know why, I don't know when, but it is what it is. As we have Serral opening up with a regular hatch first here right now. Neeb opening up with a Gateway Scout, so both of them playing it very safe. Just a solid standard play, 16 hatchery against the Gateway Scout. Gateway Scout is the safest of scouts. In case it's 12 pool, you will be able to beat it by responding appropriately. On a map the size of Eternal Empire, it's very difficult to block the natural base of your opponent because the path there is so extremely long, so something like a 13 pylon doesn't even guarantee you to block their natural. If they, for example, play 15 hatch, or if they micro their drones very well with a 16 hatch, they can sometimes even get it down as well. So could be very frustrating if you end up sacrificing a lot of your early game minerals to then not really get anything done. And thus, Gateway Scout is the safest, though not the best economically, of course. No scouting is always better. Saves you about 100 minerals, maybe a little more, 120, something like that. Basically a gateway in the early game, which, I mean, that is a big deal, of course. Now, Neeb has been trying to mineral harass here a little bit. We see that Cybercore is about to finish up as well. Second pylon is done. We see our Chrono Boosted Adept. Now, let's see if Serral, after the absolute failure that was last game, try to go into something similar here once again, or if he tries to do something different. I doubt we're gonna see the same Roach Swarmos, but perhaps the same opener with those 4 queens into the delayed third base. Slightly worse economy, but maybe quicker lair, a bit more safety against early game Stargate units, even though he's been taking quite some damage from those same Stargate units, so I'm not quite sure what the goal is of the build he's doing, but I mean, it's Serral, so it probably makes some kind of sense. So we have we have Queen 2 and 3 right here. I noticed this before. This is the double Overlord at the same time. it looks like he's getting supply blocked, but he's been doing it kind of consistently like this. So I think it's just part of the build order that you have to do this. Otherwise the build doesn't make a lot of sense. So it looks like he put a lot of time and effort into crafting this build order, because it really is his. Like, no one else has played this before, not that I'm aware of at least. You have a layer starting second. Gas is on the way in the main base as well. And we have an adept moving into the natural of Serral. We'll cancel that shade. Adept will scout, make sure that there is a third base going up. And there is. So this is a great scout, right? As Neeb, you're going to be feeling really, really safe and solid at this point. You're going to be like, oh, you know what? I think I'm completely happy with this. I really do think I am. There's a third base. I know I'm not going to get Roachal in most likely. He didn't scout the lair timing, but he's going to be able to scout that very soon with that Phoenix. Is there still any Overlord on the map? One Overlord is left here. One Overlord did die already, most likely against the Phoenix. I might have accidentally missed that. 6 more drones are on the way, and once again, Neeb is going to be in a comfortable position here, really. He really is in quite a comfortable position. He has slightly better eco. He has a good worker count, good vision on what exactly is happening this game. And all he's really lacking right now is a scout on the tech. Is somewhere over here, Evo Chamber and a Hydra Den. Big lift on the Queen, won't be able to do very much here. No drones have gone down yet, just that single Overlord so far this game. As we can see, there's lost that as well. Now this third base is relatively late for Neeb, so he did take some safety precautions. He did take the extra gases, he got the 3 gates, he got the robotics facility. We see him playing very, very safe and careful against Serral, which is quite odd because Serral is the best player. You want to be taking some risk against him, right? You don't want to just be playing your standard game. That's what you want to be doing against the guys that are worse than you, or slightly worse than you, or just slightly better, and maybe you think you have a good day, but against Serral, you want to be taking some risks, my friend. If you think you can get away with it, I'd get my Nexus 20 seconds faster. Maybe that's why I'm the one talking about the game and not playing it. As we have 3 sentries, 3 adepts trying to move onto the map right now. Don't think they can do too much there. The moment they move out to clear a tower, these links will be so annoying. Serral is just too good at that. 2 Oracles and a Phoenix join up once again, trying to get some damage on. The squad is here. Won't be able to go do very much here. Revelation being casted. Will they be able to spot anything interesting? You could say no. I mean, there's no tech here. You already scouted the tech here, of course. But he does figure out there's a Baning Nest, so it's not going to be Lurker most likely. He sees drone spot, and he sees the lack of a 5th gas. Now, this could indicate an all-in if it wasn't this map. The thing on this map is that there's a rich Vespene geyser here. So what a lot of Zerg players do is that they skip this 6th gas, and then instead take a faster... well, basically a 6th and 7th gas in once, because a rich Vespene geyser obviously gives double the gas income. So that's something that Serral will be doing indeed. It even shows up as 2 extractors into the production tab. You have this Overseer being chased away by the Phoenix. There's no Overlord speed, so it definitely should die. A couple of forces going down already. Links are getting picked up. There's 4 Queens here. There's 5 Hydras. There's not a lot of things. If there was a Prism with this army, this could be kind of dangerous here for Serral. Luckily for him, there is no Prism, and we see Neeb is heading into another one of those +1 charge pushes that we saw him doing game number 1, which he kind of botched up, honestly. Once again, I'm not a fan of these Immortals against Hydra Bane. It just delays you so much if you're trying to go for one of these pushes. Okay, this makes more sense. This I do like. If he was going into another one of the pushes, like in game number 1, I don't like the Immortal count. If you're rushing into Storm, I think Immortal count is completely fine. You're not going to get Archons in that case. You're just going to be very defensive. Most likely want to be walling off this area with a pylon, gateway, pylon, or pylon back here and gateway, gateway. Fast forward pace, yeah. I'm really a fan of the way he plays this. The reason I say this is because he's just gonna sit back and he's gonna let everything kind of happen to him in a way that, you know, if you want to fight, that's fine. But we're gonna fight on my conditions near my base. I'm gonna have force fields. I mean, there's three sentries. I'm gonna have 5, 6 Templar. I'm just gonna be storming your stuff. I'm gonna be building up my immortal count. And when I feel safe, I feel secure. Most likely, when he has his +2 attack upgrade as well, he's going to be moving out across the map and he's going to be saying, alright, now it's my turn to dance. And he hits the dance floor and there's going to be lots of storms there, my friends. It's it's going to be nasty for Serral. But Serral, of course, he's also not born yesterday. He has different plans. He started the Spire about 1 minute and 10 seconds ago, and guess what? That's the time it takes to finish the Spire. So Spire is finished. Neeb is completely unaware of this. There is a single Phoenix on the map. He has some revelation here, so might be able to spot it. There's a cannon in the natural base. There is gases on the 4th base already, so good economical position. The problem here for Neeb is that there's not a single Archon. There is, once again, only a single Phoenix. Now he is throwing out some hallucination scouts. Might be able to spot those mutas coming out. No, mutas have already left. Okay, does see 3 mutas. Not sure if he was paying attention there. I don't think he was. Fleet beacon goes down. This could be because it's a reaction, but in that case you would also see continued Phoenix production. We're not seeing a single Phoenix. Immortal keeps building. This should be a cancel, and Stalker should be getting warped into this natural base. Mutas do show themselves, and this is 15 mutas that Neeb was not ready for. GG gets called, and Serral wins the series 2-1 in a what seems to be a very, very old series indeed. I mean, what really happened here? Some weird 2-base builds by Serral, some Swarmos Nidus, and then Neeb just leaving very quickly every time he just kind of gets killed. It's an old series, but Serral did manage to win. Advances on to the next round, and perhaps I'll cast some of those games later on in the week of the next few rounds. So be sure to stay tuned to this channel, subscribe to it if you haven't yet, smash that like button and leave a nice comment down below. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you all next time.